In a land of myth and a time of magic, the destiny of a great kingdom rests on the shoulders of a young man. His name...
In the last video of mine, we took ourselves onto a trip of a lifetime looking at the comparisons between the document pictures of Series 1 and 2. However, I mentioned at the end of the previous video that I didn't want to do my original plan, which is to discuss the Series 4 and 3 pictures. But today, after some pushing by amazing comments, I'm going to compare the last two series to finish this off. So, for full disclosure of these changes to the pictures, we take forward to Doctor Who magazine special number 17 for the Series 3 changes and the Writer's Tale for the Series 4 pitch. Again, without further ado. And right off the bat, I have to say that this series did not have a document pitch due to the sheer amount of stuff that was going on in 2006 with Series 2, Torture Series 1, and the prior to the Invasion of the Bane or the Sarah Jane Adventures. So this is going to be a bit of a weird one with all the descriptions, but I'm sure you'll find some details in them as always. I'm going to correct myself in the original video by saying that the car chase I said that would have been removed from the original episode was actually supposed to be in, but however it was originally part of School Reunion where the Doctor would have had to save Sarah Jane in a similar sort of way. The first draft originally had a climax to Stonehenge instead of it being set in London, but it was deemed too expensive and didn't fit with the story to stay in, so it got changed to London for the final version. The episode's plot for a while was about the Doctor and Florence fighting to get the hospital placement to find the TARDIS to escape. Apparently this plot was deemed not too suitable for the type of episode that it was supposed to be for, so it was removed and the TARDIS stayed on Earth. Also, the window scene that would have been later used in Partners in Crime originated here, but it was deemed too expensive to stay in the original episode. This episode would have had some big ideas in the initial draft stages, such as Shakespeare's daughter, Susanna, being featured dressed as a boy, which was cut. Martha was originally going to audition into Shakespeare's play company in the style of The X Factor. There was also going to be a sword fight reminiscent of the one in the Christmas Invasion that was cut during filming and was replaced by the word battle scene in the finished episode. The original episode had been set in 3 different parts of the sea: the Overcity, the Motorway and the Undercity. Like in New Earth, we were supposed to see the Coruscant style designs that were shelved from New Earth that would have been used. Apparently Russell had also thought of more sea monsters which would have terrorised everyone before the Macra had chosen, which Russell had originally wanted to get into Series 2. More of the Macra are also described and shown about, such as Big Macra and Baby Macra, but these were removed before the final episode. Originally, the episode would have been set in the New York docks, where it turned out to be the Daleks were stealing the pigs from the docks to use for the pigmen, which was shut down before the treatment stage. Later, the episode transitioned into the drinking dens and jazz clubs, with Laszlo at one point being in with connections with the gangster world at the time. There were also a point where we would be able to see the old experiments that the Daleks would have used before changing into the plan of the final experiment. Laszlo was also going to die instead of survive in the story, but this was changed when there was too much death in the story, so the episode had to end on a lighter moment. The episode originally would have been called The Anger Experiment, as the Professor would have been named as Professor Anger instead of Lazarus. Then the episode was going to be set in the Thames flood barrier before Russell had spoken up about the usage of the location on the Runaway Bride. Then the experiment would have been about super skin for soldiers, which had been taken away from the plot when it was warned that the 2007 film Spider-Man 3 would have Venom, the villain, be the result of super skin, but this was proven wrong when the film came out. The mysterious man who was also in the episode was supposed to return in 42 and the series 3 finale, but couldn't due to the actor being available at the time. This episode was going to be set on a space base with the same plot as the finished episode, but after every draft, stuff was changed to the story. The 24 style timer was added in the second draft, the space base was changed to a spaceship, the Pope style questions were also added in to provide challenge and adrenaline. A big spacewalk was envisioned as the big part of the episode before it was shelved to save effect shots for the episode. Martha and Riley were also fighting to get to the flight deck to turn the ship around. A big change that happened later in the production was that the spaceship was named SS Icarus before the 2007 movie Sunshine had come out, so it was renamed to the SS Pentalion to avoid copyright infringement. These episodes are the first to be written up back in the production of Series 2. One of the main differences would have been that the family would have had objects that would have been part of their whole bodies, such as Jenny having a handbag that in the scene with the sardines and jam would have shown how Martha would have found out how she was taken over by the aliens. There was also the now infamous scene with the Doctor and the scanner, which was also cut down. It is also misinterpreted that Paul Cornell actually wrote the final versions of the episode, when actually it was Russell T Davies. This episode was going to be more of a straight adaptation of the original story of How I Spent My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow, but was changed with the elements of aging and Sally up to become an adult, and making the story predominantly Doctor Light. Michael Bora, who plays young Billy, was set to also play the older version, but the test for the prosthetics didn't work, so he was replaced by Lewis Mahoney. Michael also had to redub all his lines because of the continuity of Lewis's accent. Utopia started originally with the extended scene with the Doctor and Martha were in Cardiff as they saw Jack running towards the TARDIS, which the Doctor signed the light bulb on top to make the TARDIS go faster before Jack climbed on the TARDIS. The planet also had a forest area with the Silo and Future Kind operated areas. The Future Kind also had quad bikes as they were being able to travel on to pursue the team. Also, when the TARDIS revealed itself to Professor Yarnet, it was originally done with an elaborate crane shot that would have revealed the TARDIS to the Professor fully, but this is scrapped. A couple of changes were done to these episodes and how the Toclafane were to kill people by carrying across the room by the scruff of the neck before dropping them out of windows, as is already planned with the encounter of the Person-elect and the Master at the end of episode 12. A big change to episode 13 was the reintroduction of Downing Street, as it was planned out that the place would have been planned and was also filmed for episode 12, but it was also going to store the last vial needed for the fake gun to be placed in to apparently kill the Master, before it was moved to the scene with the Holmes people. A pitch document was written up in early 2007 for the fourth season to deliver to the writers who would be writing for that season. However, there are one or two writers who could have changed entirely. It was also said these episodes would have been written for a new companion named Penny Carter, who Donna took on a lot of aspects for the character after Catherine Tate was brought back in. The pitch describes the episode's plot with much similarity to the finished episode, except for the title and the character of Astrid being named Peth that would have been included into her full name, but she also survived the story as well. Prince Charles was to make a cameo in a news broadcast detailing about the royal family not abdicating. Buckingham Palace itself was also going to be destroyed. Wilf was named Stan and had no relation to the character that he would have become with Donna. For a while, there was the matter of fact that Dennis Hopper was also going to play Mr. Copper, or Max, which Russell had actually wanted him to play Max. For a while, the plot was undecided for the first episode of Series 4. It would have been Penny's introduction story with her mother and her stargazing grandfather, who would have had a stargazing group. But the focus was first on London being sealed inside a huge dome, which was scrapped once the Simpsons movie hit cinemas. Then Russell created these werewolf creatures named the Vorlax in another plotline. Then when Donna was cast into the series, the story came close to ladies that Lurch would have been touched upon Botox that would have departed people's face like the adipose ended up doing. The episode in the document does not have that much in detail, only describing that it would have a returning monster, but with new information amongst the new team of the Doctor and Penny. It was also going to be the second episode of the series for a while, even owning the production code 4.2 instead of 4.3, until it was decided that it was too dark for it becoming the second episode, so it was replaced with the third. This is where the first major change of the series could have occurred, where the Fires of Pompeii could have been replaced by a Mark Gatiss story, The Suicide Expedition, in which the Doctor and Penny, replaced by Donna and Lathan Draft, would have had to fight in an Indiana Jones style adventure in the Blitz. The story became unproduced due to the fact that the production team did not want to touch upon World War II because it hadn't been so long since The Empty Child had been broadcast. However, it was almost brought back when the problems arose with the Fires of Pompeii, but the Fires of Pompeii was able to save itself to be broadcast. These two episodes are not developed much in the document, apart from the fact that it's the return of the Sontarans and that Martha Jones would have been brought back to make a guest appearance in these two episodes as a newfound member of UNIT, which had been established in the crossover with her in Series 2 of Torchwood. The gas would have also originally emitted from factories, but this was also changed to cars to make it easier for the gas to be spread in practical means. This episode is also not extensively described, as much as apart from it being a story about the Doctor's created daughter, which happens in the broadcast episode. Jenny was also going to originally stay dead, but was revived by Stephen Moffat for the use of the character in future episodes in his run. This episode was along with Planet the Ood, with the first episode written for the season, as this episode was devised after Gareth Roberts had written the Shakespeare Code and What Happened to Sarah Jane. The episode originally had a wraparound which was filmed, but deleted, with an elderly Agatha trying to find out the true mystery of what happened. This episode would have been a brand new episode that was going to be companion light and set in a house on the UK programme Most Wanted, which would have allowed the host, Derek Abora, who had done a humorous cameo in Army of Ghosts, to be guest star in the episode, in which the Doctor would have taken part whilst Penny, Donna in the scripting stage, and her family would have watched the Doctor. It was scrapped when the script seemed a bit too humorous to stay on broadcast after the comedy-style episode The Unicorn and The Wasp. Russell then wrote Midnight to compensate, and then it was moved to episode 10 to bridge over the gap between the plots of episode 10 and 11 at this stage. These episodes would have come close to what had been discussed in the pitch, where the Doctor and Penny would have visited the library planet and had to fight off the Vashta Narada. These episodes were actually fought up in Series 3, and would have included the Weeping Angels before Stephen decided to use those ideas for Blink. Cal was meant to be a boy instead of a girl, and River's song was invented so the plot itself would have a reason to make sense. This episode only has one sentence in the pitch describing it being companion light and hopefully cheap. The episode itself would have actually had a car scene in Series 4 Episode 1 to set up its reappearance here for Penny, but when Penny was taken out of the story, it was expanded so that Donna could have the events of Series 3 and 4 changed in her life. These episodes do not describe the plot details at all, more provided on a big cut scene in the Shadow Proclamation where most of the monsters of the Russell era would have been seen in one room, where the Doctor would have had to complain about the Earth being stolen to them. There was also a shadow person who would have been unveiled to be Midshipman Frame from Voyage of the Damned, who would have been able to help the Doctor and Donna out before being exterminated by the Daleks. Annette Badland, who played Blomfeld Foch past May Days Levine, had recorded lines for the scene before it was cut. Other cut scenes included origin story for Davros, a continuation for the Blue Suit Doctor in 10, and the Cybermen appearing in the end of episode 13, which were originally continued, like the previous Christmas specials, to the next Doctor. Okay, I think this time I'm finished. Yes, there was going to be plans for the specials and like what I said in my previous video, but I think I'm going to be done with this kind of series. As after Russell left, we didn't really hear much in the way of very early pans and pitches for any of the other eras. Well, I guess my next review will be whatever I want. I guess I'll see you guys and gals then.